Hi, my name is DopeyDev, a 15 years old game developer making games using Unreal Engine 5. And this is what I'm working on called Bookshelf Remastered. Bookshelf Remastered is a merge of cooking plus survival plus open world plus adventure game. I still don't know what genre it is, but I'm working on it for about 6 months. And a lot of stuff happens to me while I was developing this game actually. So sit down, have your popcorns ready, and let's start. Bookshelf was my first game in UE5, a normal short cooking game with a lot of codes, a lot of bugs, a really small map, small gameplay, and not what I want actually. So after finishing Bookshelf version 1, I decided to remake it and call it Bookshelf version 2. Pretty obvious, huh? A better pickup system, a better soundbite system, a better storage system, and a lot of more stuff that I forgot to cover actually. Whatever, both versions turns out looking pretty horrible. Both versions broke and both versions was incredibly awful. And even more worse than that, exactly the day that I released Bookshelf version 2, I broke my hand in basketball and I wasn't able to use that hand for 2 entire months. And an entire another month, I did not work at all. Now you might ask yourself, why? Because I did lost all of my skills. I wasn't motivated at all to work, and I was at a situation that I like to call it game dev dark void, where you want to make games, but you lost all of your skills. You don't have enough motivation, and you don't want to get back to that awful endless tutorial loop just to get your skills back. That most of the game developers, artists, programmers, or anybody else learning stuff in YouTube or any other places knows about it. This was horrible, especially for me because after 8 months of developing inside Unreal Engine, I finally get rid of that awful situation and I don't want to get back to that. One day, I was listening to music when an incredible idea hits my mind. What if I remake Bookshelf for a third time, make it bigger, make it cooler, make it more optimized, and sell it on Steam and stuff releasing it for free on itch.io? At first, it was awful for me because my dream of making my dream game, which is a survival game, was ruined because of my hand situation. But over time, this little trash turns into my baby that is slowly growing up. I'm gonna explain why later. I sat down, I opened Unreal Engine 5 and I created a new project with a first person template since I want this game to be a first person game. I quickly made a simple sprinting system. It just increased the value of max speed of your player or decrease it actually. If you sprint, which its hotkey is left shift as usual, your max speed turns into 700. If you release the sprint hotkey, it's going to decrease the value to 400. I also set a boolean to true or false based on our hotkey. Then I made a simple 3-slot inventory system, which is not hard that much actually, especially if you're a game developer already, it's going to be pretty easy to understand what I'm talking about. I made a variable which is a structure. A structure basically stores different variables inside a single variable, so it's going to be easy to organize and also it's easy to speed our process for the inventory system. Each item that we can pick up has an item info variable, which is that same structure. And the player itself has an array of that same structure. There is 2 functions that if you pick up an item, it's going to call the add item function. That function is detecting that if that item that we are interacting with include a parent master class and it's valid or not. If it is valid, it's going to check that if the selected slot does already include an item or not. If it does, it's simply going to drop that item and set the new item on that specific slot. And if it does not include an item, it's simply going to set that slot to that new item. It might look a little complicated at first and I'm not good at explaining stuff, but in simple words, when you interact with an item, if there is an item saved already on that selected slot, it's going to drop that item and save the new one. And if it does not, it's just save the item, as this is it. I think this is still a little complicated for some people, but anyway. The inventory system works perfectly. Now it's time to figure out how the item that we're holding is going to be showed. In Bookshelf version 1, there were a static mesh component inside the player, which every time we interact with an object, it's going to simply set the static mesh to the item's static mesh. But trust me, it's not what you think. I'm not going to explain how I did that simple pickup system in Bookshelf version 1 because I can't understand how it's actually working. Anyway, in Bookshare version 2, I use the physics handler component, which simply set the location of the physical item to the location of physics handler point, which is also a little bit complicated. I'm not going to bother with the detail. In Bookshare Remaster, I added a static mesh component to the player, exactly like Bookshare version 1, but with a lot of change. And it is simply going to set the static mesh to the item that we are interacting with and we are actually holding. And since I have a structure that includes a static mesh, and in each ingredient I already set a static mesh, the code is just a simple custom event which set the static mesh of our component to the item that is stored in our inventory. As this simple, but you might ask me, DopeyDev, how are you going to add more immersive effect to the item that you're holding, so it's not going to look like Bookshare version 1? Well, there is something that I can add that makes the item looks more immersive. Hand bobbing and item lag. Most of you guys already know what is hand bobbing. It's simply an animation that plays if you're walking or any other stuff like idling. But for item lag, it's simply an effect that applies to the item, which makes the item rotate a little more late than the camera rotation, like what you can see on the screen. For the hand bobbing, I temporarily set the timeline, which is a simple animation that changes the Z value of that static mesh component. For the lag, I use a spring arm component with the lag being enabled. Now the item looks 100 times better. After finishing all of the ingredients, it was time to make the actual gameplay, and the gameplay is simple. Chop down ingredients to sliced ingredients like the tomato turns into a sliced tomato. Cook the ingredients that are cookable. I don't know what this word means actually, I don't even know something called cookable exists. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah. Cook those ingredients that we can cook, like the raw burger could be cooked to the cooked burger. And then merge the ingredients into foods, as this is easy. I start by making a simple cutting board, which as I said before, it cuts the ingredients into sliced ingredients and you can use them. The mechanic is a little bit complicated and I still need to remake it to make it more immersive, but anyway. Then I made a cooking system. It does include a lot of bugs and it did take an entire day to finish it, but anyway, it working right. Then the merging system. I made 5 blueprints, which each of them is a blueprint of burger, ham, stew, pizza and vegetable burger. I'm gonna talk about pizza and vegetable burger a little later. If you interact with them, it's going to check that if the item that we're holding is what they need to make that food or no. If it is, it's going to remove the item from our inventory and set the static mesh of that item to itself. It is still a little complicated, I'm not going to explain how I got it. Anyway, everything is working and now we can add more foods. Starting with the pizza, I modeled a pizza bun, sausage, and this little thing. The uncooked pizza and the cooked pizza. You need to smash the pizza bun using this blueprint. You need to combine the pizza bun with the sliced sausage and the sliced lettuce to make the pizza. Then you have to cook the food and now you have your pizza ready to sell. For the vegetable burger, I added a little extra code that if you're holding a sliced lettuce and if you interact with the raw burger will turns out into the raw vegetable burger and now you can cook it. After the pizza, I did not work on the project for a while and this is where our journey finishes for this video. I hope all of you guys enjoys it as much as I enjoyed making it and hope you all have a great day. I also want to mention that there is a Discord server alongside my Twitter and Telegram channel of the YouTube channel. The link is in the description. Again, thanks for watching this video. I hope all of you guys enjoys it and have a wonderful day or night. I don't know when you're watching this video. Anyway, bye.